Throughout the Zelda timeline there have been countless different incarnations of the hero, but there are some incarnations of Link mentioned in Zelda canon that we haven't yet seen in a game. These are the unknown heroes. We know that they're incarnations of Link, but they don't have their own games. So let's have a look at their stories. If you like this kind of video and want to show your support, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. So without further ado, let's have a look at the endless reincarnation of Hyrule's heroes, to the missing links throughout the kingdom's history. The eternal, cyclical reincarnation of the hero, Link, the princess, Zelda, and the hatred of demise in Ganon and Malladus is one of the most important themes in the series. Wherever and whenever a game takes place, be it in the skies, on the seas, or in the wilds, the land of Hyrule is bound to this unbreakable cycle. The Demon King, Ganon, is a reincarnation of an ancient evil. Demise, with his dying breath, uttered a curse that means that an incarnation of his hatred and malice would plague Hyrule for eternity. First in the form of the Gerudo thief Ganondorf, and subsequently Ganon. When Ganondorf was slain in both the child and adult timelines in Twilight Princess and Wind Waker respectively, it did little to stop the Dark God's curse, with Ganondorf reincarnating in the child timeline and a new Demon King with red hair, Malladus, appearing in the adult timeline. The Princess of Hyrule, Zelda, has the blood of the goddess. After the Demon King demise was first defeated, before the Kingdom of Hyrule was even founded years before Skyward Sword, the goddess Hylia gave up her divinity and reincarnated as a mortal, Zelda. Her bloodline, the royal family of Hyrule, traditionally name the female descendants Zelda in honour of the matriarch of their family. Zelda is the only one of this trio that doesn't technically reincarnate, as all appearances in the series of her are just descendants of one another in the same royal bloodline. The courageous hero, Link, appears as if from nowhere when Hyrule's darkest hour is at hand. The goddesses themselves ensure that, when evil appears, a hero rises to meet it. Whenever Hyrule is plagued into darkness, an incarnation of Link is sent by the divine architects of the land to break the evil and restore the light. So obviously this convoluted reincarnation triangle is just a plot device, designed so that in every Zelda game we can have the eponymous princess, a hero to play as, and a villain to fight. But today I thought it'd be interesting to look at some other incarnations, specifically incarnations of the hero that haven't appeared in games yet. While the vast majority of Link incarnations are of course the main protagonists of their own Zelda games, there are a few mentioned throughout the series that haven't actually appeared in games at all. So let's have a look through Hyrule's history at the unknown heroes of Hyrule. Chronologically, the first hero without a game we learn about is the goddess's chosen knight mentioned in Skyward Sword. Hylia's chosen hero appeared thousands of years before Skyward Sword, not long after the Golden Goddesses created the world and left the Triforce in the protection of the goddess Hylia. We know that the goddess gave this hero her sailcloth, as well as created Fi to serve him as the spirit of his sword. And except for this, we don't know anything else. There's a whole manga telling the story of this Link, how he fought Demise, was mortally wounded, and raised Skyloft above the clouds with the might of the Master Sword. But while it's a fun story, it's not canon. My personal theory regarding this hero though is that he didn't actually ever exist. While it's true there is mention of a hero ages before Skyward Sword, I think that this ancient hero and Skyward Sword Link are actually just one and the same. During the events of Skyward Sword, Link kills Demise twice, once in the present with a wish from the Triforce, and once in the ancient past where he travels via the Gate of Time. In this era, long before Skyward Sword, Link faces Demise alone, one-on-one, and notably the Demon King remarks that this Link must be the chosen knight of the goddess, and that he's never known a human to possess such courage that they would stand before him. If this ancient hero really was a different incarnation of Link, Demise surely would have mentioned him, as this meeting takes place after he'd been sealed by Hylia. It's an example of a casual loop, a time travel paradox where Link writes his own story in the past after having already heard it in the future. Right, so on my little list of Link incarnations we haven't seen in games, so far we have 0. Let's fix that with the Hero of Men. Mentioned in the backstory of the Minish Cap, the Hero of Men is a figure of legend. Not long after the events of Skyward Sword and the founding of the Kingdom of Hyrule, the kingdom was thrown into turmoil and darkness by an onslaught of monsters. In the darkest hour, when it looked as if the kingdom was sure to fall into ruin, the Picori appeared from the skies, bringing two artifacts. These were the Picori Blade, a powerful sword, and the Light Force, an object made of the life force of all living beings. The Picori gave these two tools to a hero dressed in green, who appeared from amongst the people of Hyrule to fight the darkness. Using this sword and this light, the hero drove back the shadow and restored peace to Hyrule, sealing away the monsters in a great chest. We don't know anything else about this legendary hero of men, although he's remembered ages later as the saviour of the land, and is immortalised in stained glass paintings in the Elemental Sanctuary. There's no known incarnation of Link that this could be. Skyward Sword Link lived hundreds of years before these events, and Minish Cap ages after, meaning that this hero of men who used the gifts of the Picori to seal the darkness was an entirely different Link incarnation we've never seen appear in a Zelda game. A similar story involves a hero appearing after the Minish Cap, after the first defeat of Vati at the hands of Minish Cap Link, but before his second defeat at the hands of the four Sword Links. A legend is told that, long ago, a wind sorcerer appeared with the name of Vati. This cruel wizard terrorised the villagers of Hyrule and kidnapped beautiful girls from across the kingdom, locking them away in his great palace. The knights of the land tried to save them, but were all slain by the sorcerer's magic, their shields and plate mail no defence against the might of the Wind Mage. Just as the people of the land began to lose hope, a young boy in green appeared from nowhere, carrying nothing more than a sword. With the power of this sword, the boy could split himself into copies, each of whom could fight with as much ferocity as the original. When this boy heard of Vati's torment of the kingdom, he said only, "I will defeat this sorcerer," before entering the palace of the wizard. Despite Vati's power, the boy sealed him away in his sword, before disappearing back into the forest. And when the kidnapped girls were returned to their homes, they told this story of this hero, the four who were one. The people of Hyrule didn't believe the story, but named the blade the Four Sword nonetheless, and built a shrine around where the boy had left it. Hyrule Historia confirms that this boy wasn't the hero from the Minish Cap or from Four Swords, meaning that, again, we've got an incarnation of Link, yet we never get to see or play through his adventure. So, we've got two heroes so far that we've never seen in Zelda games, never been able to play as or learn the details of their stories. They both appeared during calamitous events in the Unified Timeline, times when the Kingdom of Hyrule was plunged into chaos, and like always, the goddesses sent these incarnations of Link to save it. But there's one more hero we know about, yet never have played as, this time much more recently, prior to Breath of the Wild. 100 years before Breath of the Wild, we know that the Calamity Ganon appeared from beneath Hyrule Castle. This was foretold by a fortune teller, and so the ancient Sheikah divine beasts and guardians were excavated to defend the kingdom, though they were corrupted and turned against the land they were designed to protect. This cataclysmic event resulted in the hero of that era, the Hylian champion Link, being mortally wounded and sealed in the Shrine of Resurrection for a century, while the Princess of Hyrule, Zelda, contained Ganon within the castle. We know all about this Link. We obviously play as him during Breath of the Wild and learn all about his backstory through dialogue and memories. But this isn't the hero I'm talking about. The Divine Beasts and the Guardians were excavated a century prior to Breath of the Wild, but were built around 10,000 years earlier by the ancient Sheikah. In this ancient age, as fated by Demise's curse, Ganon appeared, bent on covering Hyrule in darkness. But Hyrule was prepared. While Ganon's fury could break stone without second thought and slay soldiers in their thousands, the resistance he met on that day was unprecedented in Hyrule's history. The technological might of the Sheikah at the time was at its peak. A civilization spanning the entire kingdom advanced to the point of creating mechanical marvels such as teleportation devices, energy weaponry, photography devices, but most importantly, the Divine Beasts and Guardians. The Guardians were each worth an army of men, a mobile tank on 8 legs boasting a powerful energy cannon. But the Divine Beasts, they were something entirely different. Each of the 4 beasts was a mobile fortress, a castle able to move and walk across the land like great mechanical creatures, and each possessed firepower unlike anything the kingdom had ever seen, weaponized energy of the gods themselves, divine artillery that shook the earth itself. Along with this army of automata, the recently resurged Ganon was met with the combined might of the Princess of the Kingdom as well as her chosen hero. After an assault from the Sheikah machines, the hero dealt a final fatal blow to the evil beast, and the princess sealed it away with her sacred might. The story of this battle is told to Link by Impa during Breath of the Wild, a victory for the Kingdom of Hyrule against the primal evil of Ganon 10,000 years ago, and is also the story of yet another Link incarnation without a game, a Link who fought alongside the Sheikah army rather than against them to seal away the shadow. So those are the stories of the Links throughout Hyrule's history we haven't had the chance to play as yet. I think it's really cool that there are heroes mentioned in the lore that we haven't seen in game. It really adds to the sense of legend and mystery that the story of the series has. And I think some of these stories are really cool in themselves. I don't know about you, but especially the hero prior to 4 Swords seems pretty badass. Vati, the evil wind mage, appears and brings Hyrule to its knees, and this Link just waltzes out the forest, sees what's going on, smacks Vati up with a 4-sword, before vanishing back into the trees never seen from again. If you like this video, please consider leaving a like or subscribe if you want some more Zelda content. We're so close to 100k now, thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.